I was one of only 26 people in the entire world to score a perfect 180 score on the LSAT. And in this video, I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step method to study consistently to get your top score. So a little bit about me also. My 180 score got me into Harvard Law School, got me into Stanford Law School. I'm going to be starting at Harvard Law School in the fall, but I know you're busy, so let's just get right into it. The TLDR for this is in order to study consistently, which I'll explain why that's important even later. The first thing is you need to study only 1 to 3 hours a day, preferably 1 to 2 hours a day, but no more than 3 hours a day. That's the first thing. The second thing is you never want to take full practice tests. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, I'll explain later. You never want to sit through the whole 4-hour practice test. You want to separate it into time sections. The 4-hour tests are not worth your time. Never or only rarely do you want to sit through these full tests. The third thing is you want to study first thing in the morning. Fourthly, you want to have a long-term thinking, have long-term goal, to think long-term, not have these short deadlines. Finally, you want to have something else on top of your LSAT studying. Okay, so those are the 5 things. Now let's go into a little bit more depth on why these are the best tips to be consistent. But first, why is it even important to study consistently on the LSAT? Well, there is no secret to the LSAT. I mean, in order to do well, it comes down to 2 things. The first thing, which is only like 20% of it, but it's a necessary 20%. The first 20% is you need to have like a good solid base of knowledge on how to actually study, how to take the test, like the best strategies. Like this is like knowledge work, like the best strategies on how to take the test. That's the first thing, but that's only like 20% of the way. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. On top of this 20% of base knowledge, what you need, the 80% of the 80-20 rule, is you need to study consistently over time. That is the most important part. That is the biggest determiner on whether or not you're going to get your goal score, is if you study consistently. So this is the framework that we're gonna, tackle this question of how to study consistently, is because we know consistency is the most important thing into getting your score. It just comes down to consistently doing your 1 hour a day, and I promise it takes just no more than 1 hour a day, max 3 hours a day. If you want to go like super fast, 3 hours a day the most. I don't recommend anything more. By the way, what could also help with consistency is getting a tutor. That's one of the reasons why tutors are so important and effective. Isn't because they are giving this crazy, incredible information. It's because they hold you consistent. But if you do want my tutoring, you could purchase 10 hours of my tutoring for $20 an hour in the link in my description. Go check there. Super affordable. Our students are getting great results. I've probably gotten by this point thousands of students up to like the 160s, 170s, upping their score by 10, 20 points. We'd love to have you there. So, okay, let's get into this. So the first, strategy I had to how to study consistently is to study 1 to 3 hours a day. Preferably more like 1 to 2 hours a day. So what does this look like? Well, I'm going to give you just a secret. What is a study schedule? This is the exact study schedule I used, all my students use. Basically, you alternate between one day you do a time section, the next day you do drilling. If you're a little bit more advanced, you do an hour of drilling. If you are a beginner, then you'll probably spend that hour not drilling, but reviewing the missed questions that you had the day before on the time section. So sample week, Monday, you do an hour, you do a time section of logical reasoning for a test. And then you spend the rest of that time of that hour, it depends, it could take you 35 minutes to finish a section or an hour, depending on if you have accommodations or not. If you don't have accommodations, it'll take you 30 minutes to do the section. And then you spend the rest of the 30 minutes reviewing your mistakes. If it takes you, if you have accommodations and it takes 50 minutes to do the time section, then you spend the last 10, 15 minutes doing a little bit of review of your mistakes. And then what you do Tuesday, if you are a beginner, you're probably gonna have a lot of questions wrong. So instead of drilling on Tuesday, what you'll do is you'll continue reviewing the missed questions that you had on Monday. And if you finish early, like if it takes you half an hour to finish, then for the rest of that hour that day, then you do half an hour of drilling, which is going one question at a time. And then you just alternate, and then you start again the next day, time section. Then the next day you review or you drill, depending on how advanced you are. But what's really important with the study schedule is you want to be completing full tests in like a sequence. So on Monday, like you want to do the first time section of the test. The Wednesday, you want to do the second time section of the test. Friday, you want to do the third time section of the test. And then boom, that's a full test that you've done already. And then keep doing it in that order. And then you'll be able to gauge your progress and track your progress without burning yourself out. And this is why I put the cap on studying 3 hours. Is because if you do more than 3 hours, you'll burn out and you won't study consistently. And we'll get into this a little later, why this is even more important. But yeah, 1 to 2 hours, the reason why it's key is because you get the high quality review, you get the high quality practice sections, you don't burn out. And it's just so simple. And the key to the LSAT is you want to be consistent and you want to make life as simple as possible, because that's how you're going to win. The way you're going to win is if you stay in this game for the long term. By studying consistently for 2, 3, 4 months, that's how you're going to get your goal score, not by just trying to ram it through in like 1 month or 2 weeks or something. You need to be slow and consistent, and simplicity is key. Trust me, just 1 hour a day. Commit yourself 1 hour a day, and then you can get your goal score. Okay, all right. And then if you want to do 3 hours a day, what you do is you do this, you do your 1 hour a day that I just broke down, and then you could add an hour of drilling or review of your mistakes on top of this. Boom, that gets you 3 hours a day. Okay, but cap it off at that. Okay, all right, so that's number 1. Number 2, we want to never or rarely take full practice tests. So what I recommend is sitting through the whole 4-hour test for your diagnostics. So the first time you ever look at the LSAT, just take a full test. Why not? You'll get acclimated with how it is, like 4 or 5 hours, sit through the 4 or 5 hour test. But then after that, just do the 1 hour a day, breaking up tests into time sections. Don't burn yourself out by sitting through the full test. You know why? Because when you do these full tests, you're so tired and burnt out that you don't get that high quality review. Whereas if you just break it down into the time sections and into drilling, you get that high quality review right after you finish a time section, right after you finish the question, and you get that feedback immediately. And that's where the improvement comes, is from shortening the time from when you make a mistake into when you actually review the question and get that feedback back. That's the way you get the fastest improvement and the most improvement on the LSAT. So that's why we don't want to be sitting through those full 4 or 5 hour tests, is because you'll be extending that time. Maybe even you'll be so tired that you won't even want to look at the LSAT for a few days. You extend that time till you review your mistakes, which we don't want to do. We want to avoid that. So that's why I want you to rarely, if ever, do full practice tests. Maybe once a month do it. Maybe once a month. I only did like 3 full practice tests before I got my 180. So maybe once a month, once every 2 months, whatever. Do your diagnostic one, and then maybe another few before the official one. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, this is huge. This is such huge advice. Please listen. Study as early in the morning, as close to waking up as possible. So this has helped my students so much, is doing your studying early in the morning. Early in the morning preferable, but anytime in the morning is better than in the afternoon or evening. Why? Multiple reasons. 95% of people, their brain is sharper in the morning. If you're the 1%, don't listen to this, but most likely you're like everyone else and your brain works a little sharper, and you'll simply perform better and score higher if you study in the morning. So that's the first thing. Number 2, it's so much easier to be consistent if this is the first thing you do. If you do your 1 hour a day, first thing in the morning, every day, and then you have the rest of your day to do whatever, to go to work, to go to school, to do your classes, but you know the whole day that you did your 1 hour of studying. If you push it off until the evening, there'll be days where you'll be tired, you'll skip it, you'll get discouraged, other stuff will pop up, stuff like that. If you knock out your 1 hour a day of studying in the morning, that'll set your day up for success. That'll set your week up for a good week of LSAT studying. You'll stay consistent. It'll help for so many reasons. And the official test will most likely be like mid-morning, morning. You could choose the time. So you could just choose 8 a.m., but I think it goes until like noon or 1 p.m. So you're going to have to take it in the morning already, so might as well train your brain to do that. So try to do it as early in the morning as possible. What some students do, they like to maybe wake up, go on a short little walk. That's what I would do. Some students like to do a short little meditation before, and then they get to their studying as early in the day as possible. What I had even one student do is they would actually wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. because they worked really early. They worked 9 to 5 or even earlier than that. Yeah, they wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. And then now she went from 153, broke the 170s right now because she was consistent doing her 1 hour a day. Please, I beg you, I want to see you succeed because then I don't know, I'll have like an army of lawyers who really like believe in me. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, I want to see you succeed. So please, 1 hour a day in the morning. Trust me. Okay. Number 4, what we want to do is we want to think long term. So instead of thinking, okay, I want to take the test in a month or in 2 months or in 3 months, we want to get these arbitrary timelines out of our head and think long term and realize that the LSAT gives us such a huge ROI. It could save us $100,000, $200,000 just in the short term based off of scholarships, but they also change the trajectory of our career, that they're so important that we should invest however long it takes until we get our goal top highest score, so that we could save money in the short term in terms of scholarships, but also set our legal career up for the best career we could ever have. So think long term, get those short term timelines, these arbitrary timelines out of your head, and think, I'm going to study for this test for however long it takes. I'm going to do my 1 hour a day for however long it takes until I get my goal score. Have that mindset, think long term. That'll help you with consistency, because you won't burn out and try to like do all your studying and like cram it in 1 month or something. Okay, all right. Finally, the last thing is I want you to have something else going on in your life besides studying for the LSAT. Why do I say this? It again comes down to consistency and being in this game for the long run. A lot of people say, okay, I'm going to study for the LSAT full time. And then they burn out and they plan on doing this because they're trying to rush the process. But there's no rushing. You don't get any faster results by studying for 5 hours versus 2 to 3 hours. I promise. The max you could study is like 3 hours a day. Anything more will actually harm you more than help you. Because of that, I mean, what are you going to do besides those 2 to 3 hours a day? What I recommend is if you're working, like don't quit your full-time job unless there's other reasons like you hate it or something. If you're in school, that's another distraction. Doing some work, some passion project, focusing on your health, friendships, stuff like that. Have other stuff going on in your life that keeps you mentally healthy, focused, productive, stuff like that. Don't make LSAT your full priority. Maybe make it your main priority, like start off your day with it, but don't make it your entire full studying 7 hours a day. That's a recipe for burnout. So that is that. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, if you want my tutoring, click the link in the description. It's at $20 an hour right now. Students getting great results. We'd love to have you. And yes, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, all right, bye.